If Japan does not surrender, bombs will have to be dropped on war industries.
The blast happened so suddenly. One moment I was reading the newspaper, the next a flash blinded me completely. I felt as though my skin was being stabbed by hundreds of needles. After the blast, I grabbed my camera and went outside. I came across a group of schoolgirls. Having been directly exposed to the heat rays, they were covered with blisters the size of baseballs on their backs, on their faces, on their shoulders, and on their arms. The blisters started to burst open, and their skin hung down from their bodies like rags. I could only bring myself to take 5 pictures. I felt so sorry for the naked and dying people throughout the city, whose photos would be left to posterity. It seemed as though everyone was looking at me and thinking angrily, "He's taking our picture and will bring us no help at all."
The war starved our people, forced them from their homes, and taught a generation to live in blind obedience. The modern era is now upon us. We focused too many of our resources on what was best for our national pride and identity. Now it's time to focus on what was best for our people. We knew the war could not last. As soon as we got reports that Hiroshima had been attacked by an atomic weapon, we knew that the war had to end.
The United States has bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki in an attempt to intimidate us into surrendering. I am aware that Japan's security on the battlefield is diminishing. But at this time of war, there is no honorable option except to keep fighting. We have worked so hard to build ourselves up, to assert ourselves as a nation, and to win what we came into this war to fight for. It is no time to surrender.
It called for an imperial conference after meeting with members of the government. If we continued the war, there would have been no future for the political system or the nation itself. An immediate ceasefire would have left the core foundation for Japan's future development. To rescue our people from a catastrophe, and for the happiness of all humankind in the world, I had decided to accept the Potsdam Declaration on the condition proposed by the foreign minister.
We're here to make it clear to the Japanese that we are not the kind of people who forget such things overnight. We're here to make it clear to the Japanese brain that we've had enough of this bloody, barbaric business to last us from here on in.
My name is General Douglas MacArthur, Supreme Commander of the Allied Powers, otherwise known as SCAP.
That is our job in Japan.
Now, we killed tens of thousands of helpless and innocent women and children. And in war, I admit, there will always be innocent casualties. But this time the death toll is too damn high. We could have stopped this all weeks ago, if we just let them keep their emperor as an honorary figurehead. And now, we're just doing that. But we unleashed a monster that is going to make our lives a whole lot more difficult.
My name is Jean Bakersfield. I'm 39 years old. I live in St. Louis, Missouri. Well, I haven't stopped smiling all week. I mean, it's just been such an awful, awful time until we got the news that Japan surrendered, and I cried for 2 days knowing that my son was coming home. This is one of the best weeks of my life. Well, we used atomic bombs, the first in the world, and thank God President Truman had the guts to do that. If we hadn't bombed the Japs, they would have bombed us. I don't really understand what the question is here. This is a war. This is what happens in war.
On the Sunday morning of August 6, 1945, I, Paul Tibbets, piloted the plane that dropped the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima. In the plane named after my mother, Enola Gay, was the crew that I had handpicked for the mission. Next to me was my co-pilot, Captain Robert Lewis, navigator, Captain Theodore Van Kirk, and bombardier Major Thomas Furby. As we were getting closer to our target, we start to count down the minutes, the seconds, until it became time to release the 10,000-pound bomb. The prettiest blues and pinks appear in the sky, and I could taste the metallic particles in the air. The cloud created was what I call a stinger. It was black as hell and had light and colors and white and gray in it, and the top was like a folded up Christmas tree.
Human beings are foolish. Thanks to bigotry, religious fanaticism, and the greed of those who traffic in war, the earth is never at peace, and the specter of nuclear war is never far away now. My name is Keiji Nakazawa, and on August 6, 1945, at 8:15 a.m., the atomic bomb exploded 600 meters above my hometown of Hiroshima. I was only 6 years old, and I was at Kansaki Primary School, a kilometer away from the epicenter, when I was hit by a terrible blast of wind and heat. After escaping the flames near the school, I made my way back home, only to find my mother by the roadside with a newborn baby. There she told me how my family had been burned and buried alive by what once was our home. I will never forgive the Japanese militarists who started the war, nor the Americans who had so casually dropped the bomb on us.
The decision to use a nuclear bomb against Japan during the summer of 1945 was one of the gravest decisions made by the U.S. government, but I have no doubt that it had to be done. If we hadn't decided to use the bomb, fighting would not end until 1946 at the earliest. Therefore, our decision to assault Japan with nuclear weapons saved the lives of over 1 million American men. And although Japan's government holds many liberal thinkers, her government at the time was submerged by terrorists, and an unconditional surrender was the only choice presented to us.
Many questioned whether the mission we carried out against Japan was justified. The president once asked me what I thought, and I told him, "Mr. President, I think I did what I was told." He slapped his hand on the table and said, "You're damn right you did, and I'm the guy who sent you. If anyone gives you a hard time about that, refer them to me."
We knew the world would not be the same. Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
The atomic bomb has not only revolutionized modern warfare, but has also brought about a great social upheaval and transformation in the daily lives of ordinary individuals as well.
This Frankenstein monster that we have created has made us look as bad as they did after Pearl Harbor.
In my experience as Secretary of War, I have seen too many try and pretend that war is anything than what it is. In this last great action of the Second World War, we were given final proof that war is death. The bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki ended a war. They also made it wholly clear that we must never have another one.
The consequence of the single story is this: it robs people of dignity. It makes our recognition of our equal humanity difficult. It emphasizes how we are different rather than how we are similar.